Hi guys, Darth Deuces is here, back with another Star Wars action figure review, and today taking a look at a couple of comic pack figures that I've been wanting to pick up for the collection for years now at this point. It is the 30th anniversary Crimson Empire comic pack, which includes Kir Kanos and Carnor Jax. Crimson Empire is one of my favorite Star Wars comic series that I've read. I have the big hardcover omnibus of it, or whatever you want to call it, and absolutely love the story, love the characters and everything about it. A really, really good read that I would recommend if you like reading the Star Wars comics. But they did release a comic pack back in the 30th anniversary collection. It came with like issue 5 or 6, I can't remember. And you get Kir Kanos, the main character, and you get Carnor Jax, who is the main villain of the first part, first trade paperback, whatever you want to call it. First main series. I think it was like Crimson Empire 1, 2, and Empire's End, I think. But yeah, very cool figures. Definitely do show their age a bit, I won't lie. But yeah, so just getting right into it, I guess. They're both pretty much the exact same, with like one sculpt difference and obviously paint, and that's about it, or a couple of sculpt differences, I suppose. I guess first we can talk about Kir Kanos. They both come with the same accessories, so you do get the double-bladed vibro sword or vibro staff or whatever you want to call it. I did get these loose on eBay. They do have a bit of paint wear that probably wouldn't be there if you got these new. But I really do like these vibro swords. They look really good. These also came with the vintage collection, the later released vintage collection, Royal Guard as well. They also come with a scout pistol, which is holstered on their hips here, and the holster, fits it fairly well. I can't really hold it the best because they don't have, these pistols are meant for like a hand that's sculpted with a 2-finger trigger finger grip, and these don't have that. But you can get it in their hand if you want to. Now, one interesting thing about this set is that they were a variant, 2 different variants of this. I have the variant where the helmets were actually given clear visors. They're molded in clear plastic and then painted to give them clear visors. And there's another version of this set where they're not clear. So you can kind of, well, you can't really tell that well, but you can kind of sort of see his eyes through them, which is kind of a cool feature. But at the same time, these helmets don't go on all the way. So their eyes really aren't level with the visor, and it kind of looks a little weird. But it's not a big issue. The helmet itself does look nice though, although the paint does look a little thin, if that makes sense. You can remove the helmet, it's just made of soft plastic, and you do get a pretty cool head sculpt. It vaguely looks like Kir Kanos from the first story arc. I do like the scarring that's on there. It's sculpted and then painted red. I think it looks pretty good. And then it looks close enough to Kir Kanos. He is a pretty average looking guy, if I'm being honest. But yeah, that's kind of cool. And then, like I said, they do have the soft goods cape, which is made of a pretty decent material. I mean, these figures are like going on 15 years old, and I got this loose, so it might have been open since then, and the cape is still in pretty good shape, so that's cool. The main body is reuse of the Revenge of the Sith line Royal Guard. So there is definitely the very dated. It's like getting close to being a 20-year-old mold here. But what's cool is the paint apps here. You get black and then some matte red highlights with some glossy red for the armor, which I think looks really nice. They did have some new forearms sculpted to make them a bit more accurate to the actual comic, which I think is cool. Yeah, there's the armor there. Again, pretty accurate to how it looks in the comic from what I remember. It has been a little while since I've read it. But yeah, I like that a lot. Looks good. In terms of articulation, this is where it shows its age the most. You get a ball jointed head, which obviously pretty much doesn't move when you have the helmet on. Ball hinge shoulders, swivel cut elbows, swivel wrists, no articulation in the waist, swivel hips, ball hinge knees, and no articulation in the ankles. So they are pretty limited, especially for characters that are doing some martial arts and sword fighting and whatnot. It's a bit limiting for these characters. I won't lie. These aren't exactly the funnest figures to pose around. The swivel cuts especially can be a bit finicky for these characters rather, but it could be worse, so it's not too bad. there's Kir Kanos. Let's talk about Carnor Jax. Carnor Jax is really cool, and he actually, aside from being just a character I want, is also kind of technically another Sith off my list. He is a Sith apprentice to Lamaya, so another Darksider to check off my list for collecting Darksiders and Sith in this scale. One thing that's interesting is him and Kir Kanos actually have different sculpted left gauntlets. Carnor Jax has symmetrical gauntlets and Kir Kanos does not, which is kind of interesting. You have a black cape, but it's designed the same. It looks good. I really do like the design of Carnor Jax. He's basically the inverse of Kir Kanos. Kir Kanos is mainly red with the black highlights, and then Carnor Jax is mainly black with the red highlights. But I really like how the armor looks with this red and black combo. It looks really nice. Not too much to say, but you can take a look for yourself at how that looks. He also features a removable helmet, and he's even worse when it comes to trying to see the eyes through the visor. His helmet, for whatever reason, doesn't go on. As far as Kir Kanos's, you can remove the helmet, and you do get a sculpt of Carnor Jax, which really, really generic looking sculpt, but that's kind of how he looked in the comics. So, and you only see his head once anyways. One thing that's interesting is he does have some black on the bottom of his head, so I would say that the dye from the color from the soft goods, it looks like, might have bled onto the head sculpt a bit, but it's not too noticeable, and I'm not going to display him with the helmet off anyways, so not a big deal. He has the same accessories as well as this exact same articulation, so there's not really anything else to talk about there. But he is really nice, and I mean, I'm really happy to have him in the collection. But there's not too much else to say. These are kind of basic figures. I got a good, what I would consider a pretty decent deal for them on eBay. I think after shipping, it was maybe $30 Canadian per figure, which I think is pretty good. These aren't the most sought after figures ever. So if you are looking to get them, because I would definitely recommend picking these guys up if you are fans of the characters, fans of Royal Guards, and definitely a fan of the comic. I'd 100% recommend picking these up. If you shop around, keep your eyes open, you can definitely get these guys for fairly good prices. But before we end off here, I do want to take just a couple quick comparisons. Here they are with the later released Vintage Collection Royal Guard. Well, this is technically the Black Series release, but the same figure. You can kind of see how they look. I will say this one, which makes sense, it's the newer figure, is a lot better. Articulation's better, comes with more accessories, soft goods is done better, the helmet is sculpted better in my opinion. You don't got that weird clear visor. Just a much better figure all around, but still, these guys fit in pretty well regardless. Really do like that Vintage Collection Royal Guard, really nice figure. Really happy to have that. And then, if you might recall, if you're a Black Series collector, we actually did get a Crimson Empire figure last year. We got the Black Series Kir Kanos, or Carnor Jax. It was incorrectly named Carnor Jax on the box, but the figure itself is Kir Kanos, which was basically just a repaint of the Black Series Royal Guard with a different soft goods cape and a new weapon. And yeah, the Black Series one is definitely the funner figure. It's got way better articulation. I do actually like the Vibro Sword on the Black Series one a little better. The cape is also kind of nice. I like the purple or the pink or whatever, shiny purple on the inside. I think that's super cool. But on the flip side, the Black Series doesn't have a removable helmet and doesn't have a Kir Kanos sculpt. They didn't do a new sculpt for the forearms, so the forearms are pretty inaccurate, which is kind of annoying for me. I also like the colors on the 3 3/4 figures better as well. This one's almost going on an orangish red, which looks kind of weird. I think these ones and the Kir Kanos one obviously definitely looks a lot better in that regard. So if you're trying to decide on which one to get, I guess, if you're only going to get one, this one's the funner figure to pose, but I think this one / these ones look just so much better for the most part. This one doesn't look bad, but yeah, these ones are much more accurate and look a lot better in my opinion. So anyways, that's about all I got to say about these guys. I think they're pretty cool. They are kind of like specific for like a very certain collector, and that's someone who's a fan of Royal Guards or who's a fan of the comic series. But if you are a fan of the comic book series and you don't have these, I would highly recommend picking them up. Like I said, you can probably shop around, wait it out, and you probably find them for a pretty decent price. It is worth knowing that for whatever reason, these figures have been bootlegged. You can get like sets of 5 of each of these figures bootlegged on eBay. I don't think they come with any accessories and they have no soft goods, but for whatever reason they bootleg them. I don't know why, but yeah, I guess you could go that route too if for whatever reason you had the extra accessories and maybe soft goods came to give them or whatever. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you think down in the comments below, and may the force be with you. I'll see you all in the next one.